Hello, people. It's your boy Osman back again with another Manchester United transfer news. And if you haven't already seen, there has been somewhat of a breakthrough with the Jadon Sancho situation. Look, I'm not going to get ahead of myself because I did that last year and I ended up with egg on my face. So I'm not going to do it twice, First time, I'm the fool. Second time, I can't fall for that shit. But listen, we will be discussing it. I'm just going to give you the facts. Of course, I'm going to give you, some of the articles that come out from credible journalists. You guys can decide your thoughts on the matter. We will be talking Paul Pogba contract talks and everyone's favourite Scottish midfielder. No, not Scott McTominay. McGinn, rumoured to Manchester United. As always, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and get your comments in. Obviously, that helps us continue the show. I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, as always, the homie Kojo, aka Iniesta, in the building. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Obviously, me and you spoke earlier today. I sounded like I'd ran 15 miles, even though I'd walked like 2 minutes. but no, I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm here. Looking forward to the Euros more than anything.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Honestly, God, I'm happy to just be watching some football. I'm not a neutral, obviously, I'm in England, but at the same time, it's not like ingrained in me like it is My United. Like My United, when they lose, I'm upset. I'm disappointed. I'm X, Y, and Z. I'm emotionally attached. With England, I'm not as emotionally attached. I ain't gonna lie. But of course, I want him to win. But anyways, let's get into it. Let's start with Manchester United. Let's start with Man. Let's start with Jadon Sancho. In fact, what? Let's start with Pogba first, actually. Let's start with Paul Pogba first. Okay. For those of you that are aware, Paul Pogba, he's out of contract next season. He's got 1 year left. He's come out and kind of sort of stated that, he's only got 1 year left. The clubs are in talks, so to speak. But there was a report, if I can find it, I probably can't at the moment, but there was a report saying Pogba's representatives, aka Raiola, has finally opened talks with the club. For those people that, be slating Pogba, Kish, the way negotiation works is it's normally the club that initiate it, not the player. I don't know if people understand that. So I'm not sure why people would be slagging Pogba off, but that's for a different debate. But anyways, Kojo, as I've just said, Paul Pogba and his representative in talks with the club to get a new contract. I believe it's rumoured at 450k a week. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this is probably his last big contract before he gets into the years where you do maybe 1 or 2 year extensions, stay at the same wage before you take the decrease in wage. So I think 450 is, first of all, 350 is a lot already as it is. So to go to 450 is a bit of a mad thing as well. But at the end of the day, look, you signed the player for the long term. He's been here 5 years now, and you're looking to make sure that he stays potentially another 5 years. So sign the contract. Well, I'll offer him the contract rather, and then hopefully he signs the contract. So United just need to get moving on that. You signed him for what, 90 million rough abouts. You don't want to lose him on a free transfer. You still know his quality. You're still trying to build the team. You could be signing Sancho this summer. And if you're going to sign Sancho, if you're going to add a good player, the one thing you don't want to do is bring in a very fantastic player but lose another fantastic player also. So I just say get the job done. Offer him the contract now that Raiola and the club are talking. Offer him a good contract. Make sure it's fair for all parties. And then hopefully he signs with the club, innit?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like, for me personally, the money is crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and be a hypocrite. When De Gea got offered that money, De Gea deserved it. For me personally, he earned that money, but I don't think anyone can take that away from him. Regarding Pogba, could you make the case he doesn't deserve 450k? Has he done anything in a United shirt to warrant being the most paid player?
But that kind of thing is that's a matter of opinion. But for me, it's like if I'm working somewhere and then another job offers me, if I'm earning like 24k a year from one job, and then suddenly another job I apply for starts offering me 50k, other people can say I've got a lot more experience than this guy, whatever, blah blah. Listen, you take it as it comes. If the club decide to offer him £450,000, it's not a matter of whether he deserves it or not. They're giving him the contract because that's what they think they can pay him, and they want to pay him. So people saying, "Oh, he doesn't deserve 450k." What does he deserve? he deserves a wage for playing for
He
one of the biggest
deserves to
clubs
win.
in the country.
He deserves to win Premier League titles, man. That's what he deserves to win. He deserves to be winning trophies, man. After all the people that have been criticizing Paul Pogba, he doesn't do any United shit. Listen, I'm still hearing people moan about him. The guy has been absolutely brilliant for us since January. Yes, he's had a couple of games that has been quieter, but who hasn't? Which player in the world, apart from Messi and Ronaldo and maybe Lewandowski, right? You're talking the best of the best, plays out of 7, 8, 9. Well, ignore the sevens. 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 every game. It's so rare, and people have got this sort of perception of footballers in this day and age. And I suppose Pogba is better than Bruno in the chat. We'll get to that comment about Bruno shortly. Don't worry. But we have this sort of perception on social media now. If a player isn't 7 out of 10 every single game or above, they're basically shit or they're inconsistent. And I get the inconsistent comment, but sometimes you gotta have a bit of realism as well. There's certain games, Pogba's told to do a role that he's sacrificing his ability to impact the game because he's more defensive, or he's been like against where did he play CDM in the final? For all of a sudden he was playing CDM in the final or not CDM, but as a holding midfielder while McTominay had the license to go forward. Hence McTominay flourished, and Pogba was made to look like he was lost to an extent. Like sometimes it does come on the manager, but I'm not excusing his performance and blaming on it. I don't want people to start thinking that as well. It's a bit of both. He hasn't been good in moments, but I just think the Pogba slander for me is just getting a bit boring now. Like on the end of the day, he's done his thing, and 450k is too much. However, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. He has to get pay rise, isn't he? Like I said, could be one of his last big contract. So if you want to have top players and if you want to be winning trophies, we've got to secure the bag and you've got to secure the players. As simple as that. Let's get a couple of comments in. Obviously, Pogba better than Bruno in Edin's opinion. Like I said, we got to surely Jerry in the building. 3 lines on the shirt. But get United for that. Don't worry, bro. Don't worry. This is probably gonna be obviously we'll see how we get on in it. And Big Ron's in the building. Shout out to you as always. If you haven't already, make sure you slap a like. But yeah, regarding the Pogba situation for me, I just want the deal done or him sold. Either way, I don't want him to go on a free next summer. I think that would be an absolute travesty. But if we were to sell him, I can't see us replacing him. Anyways, let's get into this comment here about Edin. Obviously, we've had quite a lot, going on. That's just Ron just throw me off that comment. We've had a lot going on today. Obviously, the comment regarding Bruno Fernandes, in particular about rants and Vance saying Bruno is trash. And to be honest, although I can't sit and say it's a deluded opinion because that's how a lot of our fans think, which to me, I don't understand. Like, I know this is a transfer show, but I have to bring you up. Kojo, what are your thoughts on the Bruno v Pogba thing or vice versa? Like, where do you sit on the whole thing?
For me, there shouldn't be any verses. I never do verses. I think the idea of Bruno being trash is the idea that he stat pads and the idea that he doesn't have any, and I don't like doing this, source. And it's annoying because if we watch him, and I don't like going outside of United, but the fact so at Sporting Lisbon, he played in a deeper role and scored in one of his final seasons 32 goals, 18 assists, got 2 trophies as part of that. Then for Portugal, he plays in a deeper role. He still produces, but also he has a lot of great attacking players around him anyway. So his numbers are not going to be as high for his country naturally as they are at a club. At United, you know the role he plays, and the idea is that he doesn't dribble past 3 or 4 players. He doesn't have the grace on the ball that Pogba has when Pogba's in full flow, I should say. He doesn't have, and there's an idea that if Pogba plays his position, Pogba will do just the same or maybe more, except maybe it'll be a bit more prettier to watch. The fact for me is this. Firstly, a person playing at any top level, I know we call players poor, this, that, and the other, but the reality is when they're playing at a top level, they're at least good. Bare minimum, they're good. Bruno Fernandes, who is a fully fledged international for Portugal, it's not a small country with all respect to other countries, but Portugal are not a tiny team. He played for one of the biggest teams in Portugal, and now he's playing for one of the biggest teams in the world, and he's producing at a high level. You can talk about numbers, you can talk about this and the other. The fact is, he does his job. One of the worst things you could ever say about a player is what does he do apart from score goals? Because that's always the argument now when you talk about players that have high numbers, but people don't love them because they don't look like I don't know, like Jack Grealish on the ball, or they don't look like the reason why Ronaldo gets trashed is because he had to adapt his game. So because he doesn't ever look like Messi on the ball, he could never come near Messi. And I agree, Messi's a better football player. It doesn't mean he has to trash Ronaldo. Ronaldo's good at what he does. So, when it comes to the description of players these days and all that kind of stuff, it's just, quite frankly, it's pathetic. If someone is doing his job, which is the most important thing in football, which is to score goals. If you don't score goals, you can't win games. If he's doing his job, he is nowhere near trash. He's fantastic. He's got one of the best goal-scoring records as a midfielder in football, period. One of the best goal scorers in the Premier League amongst all the goal scorers, period. And he still creates. You can talk about balls hitting his stud and him getting assists for it. It all counts. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. People that trash him from other clubs, when Ozil joined Arsenal, he took a free kick, he hit the post. Someone else tapped it in, they called that an assist straight away. That's an assist, because he hit it on purpose. This is what football is now, though. This is what it is. Stat padding and all that nonsense. You score past who you're supposed to play against.
Absolutely.
That's all it is. And what do you want to do? Not score against your Fulhams and all that, but only score against.
It's absolute nonsense, man. It's pure agenda. Look, the whole Pogba v Bruno thing is so embarrassing. Like, first and foremost, they both play for Manchester United. We used to see it with Rashford and Martial, and I understand there's competition within the players. But why are fans comparing players to players? Like, honest to God, it's such a stupid concept. Like, at the end of the day, they both play for Manchester United. You got to support them equally. This whole culture about I'm Pogba FC, I'm Martial FC. I understand people are favourites. As you guys know, I defend Martial like he's my son. But at the same time, I will criticise him. Like, do you know what I mean? I have criticised him. I've said he's a flop this season. I don't have an agenda with Martial or any other player for that matter, and I will call them out. And I think the issue is with people who slag off Bruno is because they prefer Pogba. They're either Pogba or Bruno in their head, which doesn't make sense. Like, why can't you just show love to both players? The same as Ronaldo and Messi. I don't understand that. You can argue who's better, but why you got to hate another guy? Like, I just don't understand. Like, for me personally, it's just immature. Like, at the end of the day, like you said, Bruno's been stat padding, as they say, for time now. Even in Portugal, his numbers were phenomenal. Look, hopefully he does have the international stage as well. He's done it for Man United for a season and a half as well. He was very influential in us getting top four. Let's not forget that. I think people are forgetting all of a sudden what his impact has been. I can remember the back end of last season, everyone was, basically screaming how Bruno got us top four. Like, I know Rance had his opinion. This is the general. I'm not talking about Rance's comment general. I'm talking about in general here regarding the Bruno out brigade. But yeah, he's had such an impact, and this season as well, he's been so influential. I know Jerry has that thing on we always take the piss at each other for saying involved FC, but Bruno is literally involved in 90% of attacks. And yes, some of them don't. Some of them break down. And you look at Bruno Fernandes straight away because he's the instigator. However, look how many goals we have scored and how many has he been influential in them, happening. You'd say about 70% of the goals, maybe 60% of the goals have been down to him, his individual brilliance, his awareness, his spatial awareness, his vision, etc. The list goes on. Now, that's not taking anything away from Pogba or Rashford or Cavani, but you gotta recognize greatness, and Bruno has been great for Man United thus far. He's not world class. I don't think he's world class because obviously he's not, as you said, he's not pretty. I think that's what it is. He's not the Ozil. Like, if that was Ozil putting them numbers with the way with the Ozil plays with that swag and that flair, people won't be saying this about Bruno. It's because he's a bit like Lukaku in the sense that. Not in terms of, like, I don't want to use the word donkey to describe Lukaku, but that's what people would have used to describe Lukaku. But he doesn't have that, what's the word? Va-va-voom, we'll just say. Like,
that's a good word. That's a good word. Yeah.
It doesn't have it. Like Zidane and that, they had that sort of flipping silkiness about him, and he doesn't have that, Bruno. He's a bit more raw in a sense. But listen, it is what it is. He's been influential to our club, and how long may it continue. But listen, let's talk about another guy that would be influential. Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho. I'm sure most of you guys have probably seen your thoughts. If you haven't already, obviously get your comments in. Before I move on to Sancho, let me just quickly get someone's comments on. Obviously, going to start with the homie Big Ron. Rate both Pogba and Bruno. It's just a consistency I have an issue with. I think a lot of our players aren't consistent, to be honest. I reckon we are going to get rid of Martial this summer. Greenwood and Cavalli will be strikers, or we might even sign a striker. Okay, that's interesting. Just quickly, what do you make of that?
If Martial does go, I would. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, because that would leave. I've always said with Martial, like I've always said, get me a striker. At the end of the day, for me, goals win you games. But if Martial goes, you lose a striker such a left winger. And if I'm right, apart from Rashford, well, Pogba's been playing there recently as well. But
Sancho could technically play left wing if you were to sign him.
You could do. You can also play on the right, which I think is where.
Well, I hope he just go on the right.
Yeah. So, and then you got Daniel James who's a backup. It would, for me, you still have to sign. I've always said if Martial goes, just to bring a striker, maybe just because Cavani's leaving at the end of the season anyway, because it's a 1 year, it's a 2-year deal, so 1 more year left, which will leave Greenwood by himself as the main striker. And I always think it's always good to have competition. So I would say
Greenwood for me can't be the main striker. Simple as that.
I mean, for me, not
right now. As in, like him having the weight of the whole club on his shoulders.
Oh yeah, by himself. Yeah. That would be ridiculous.
I don't think we should sell Martial, to be honest. I think that would be a mistake because although he's not had a great season, the only way I would personally sell him is we get Harry Kane, which is what I've said consistently. That is the only way that I'd sell him. Otherwise, I'm not selling him because I think he's had a bad season, but he has the ability to come good again, hopefully in the right circumstances, so to speak. Let's just hope. He's had an opportunity to, look himself in the mirror and understand his own sort of, failures really to an extent. You got to look at yourself. He's not been good enough, as simple as that. But I don't think we should sell him unless we get Kane. I just don't see it otherwise.
So, yeah, as long as we get a prominent striker, but then I say a prominent striker. How many strikers are actually?
That's what I'm saying. There's no one. Yeah. We're not going to get Haaland. We know he's going to Chelsea.
No way. So it has to be Kane. Will we get Kane again? Also, no, probably not. So.
Exactly. Simple as that. But listen, I hear what you're saying, Akil. Obviously, always drop in, the good comments and that. Appreciate you, bro. AK, as always, very consistent. Comments on practically every other video. Shouting Glazers out. And listen, if you know us, we always screaming Glazers out. First and foremost, absolute frauds, and we'll never support them. It's as simple as that. If you are in the comments, make sure you do slap a like on the video. It really does help us, grow the channel, so to speak. If you want to help us do that, let's see if there's any other comments. Don't forget, guys, Mate is one of the summer signings. Fucking hell. Oh my god, we got Kojo here. Loves Mate as well. Jacob in the building said evening to you, bro. We should get Donnarumma. He's
too late.
It's too late. It is too late. I've been saying consistently that we should have got Donnarumma. But obviously I'm not on the board, so that signing just made too much sense for me. But of course, that's why we didn't get him. We are going to talk about the CDM as well, or the lack of interest in getting CDM. But before we go into that, let's discuss Jadon Sancho. So I'm just going to read a couple of quotes out that have happened in the last 2 hours. I'm sure most of you have seen these videos, but I will read it out because I know Kojo hasn't. Right, first and foremost, MPFC have agreed personal terms with Jadon Sancho. We already knew this, but this is the bit that we didn't know. Obviously, if Sancho was to sign for Manchester United, it would see him earning in 5 years, in a 5-year deal, 350 grand a week.
How old is he? 20, 21?
He's 21. So let me just read that again. Jadon Sancho, if he is to sign for Manchester United, which of course is looking like it will happen this summer. You never know when the United could just fall out at any point. But 300, he's been offered 350 grand a week, and I'm not surprised personal terms have been agreed because he's like, no way have they offered me this amount of money. Like, I don't know how much he was on at Dortmund, but I can't imagine it being more than 100 grand because they don't offer, like, they have a very good wage structure. Most of these German clubs, apart from Bayern, they're the only club that pay the extra sort of money, but that's understandable given, the sort of the team that they are. But yeah, Kojo, what are your thoughts, bro? 350 grand a week.
When we're talking about Pogba, I was saying that you can't really determine how much a player deserves per se in wage. It's up to the club and the players, isn't it? But if you're going to sign a 21-year-old who I would hope the intention with the club was to sign him at least for the next 10 years, knowing that you're going to have to give him extensions within that time, which will most likely, most of the time, include a wage increase, 350 is not the place to start.
I mean, because, I don't know. That's I've got no blinds, but it is what it is. But
making the skin glow even more, bro.
No, yeah, exactly, man.
Come on.
I just don't want that, bad look in that. But listen, how on earth are we starting with that? Akil saying in the comments. Akil said it's actually 250 grand a week according to his sources. Again, look, this is just what I've seen on Twitter from someone called Jacob Steinberg. He seems like a pretty credible journalist. Obviously, works for the Guardian, that kind of thing. I've just gone through his socials and stuff, and I don't see why he would lie about that. Do you know what I mean? Either way, 250k, 350k. I know it's a big difference.
A lot of money.
But either way, it's a lot of money. As Kojo said, this is his first contract. Let's just say he's 24, so in 3 years' time, we have to renew his contract. What are they going to renew it to? Like, he's what does this do for the rest of the players? I believe Bruno's only at like 130, 180 or something.
Bruno's just under 200, just under.
Yeah, exactly. So what does this mean for the whole wage structure in general, if this was to go through, so to speak?
United have never had a wage structure.
That's a good point.
Well, I mean, Ashley Young, Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, they all earned big wages, and these are players that after a while were nowhere to be found. Don't forget the Crown. I told you about when we first got the new Woodwards running for 2013. Remember in that season, Nani was given a 5-year contract and a big wage, and in January he was then loaned out. So there's never been a plan. It's all about buy. I mean, this signing would make sense for the team, absolutely. But when it comes to about offering contracts and all that, it's always about buy first and then pay second, think about the rest later. So it could be another problem. But if they try to sign for the next 10 years, as long as you're happy to give him another increase after that, it's your prerogative, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear that. There's a lot of people in the comments. I think the general consensus is that he's not worth that much of our wages. In fact, I've not seen any comment that anyone's particularly happy with his wages. Like, for me personally, I just think it's an embarrassment. Honestly, that's the only word I can use. How is a club of our stature run this poorly? Again, this isn't factual information. This is what journalists are reporting. So it's not written in stone. It might be incorrect. But, this is all we've got to go off. So I've got to base it on that. If this is correct, and I say if loosely, that is an absolute joke. There's no way a 21-year-old should be coming to Manchester United on 350 grand a week. That 180 grand is what he should have been on minimum, or give or take 200, whatever it may be, right? He needs to earn that money, man. Even 180 grand, 200 grand's a lot. Understand he's a new signing with Man United, so it's probably going to be a lot of money. But Harry Kane's on 200 grand. Mohamed Salah's on 200 grand. How is Jadon Sancho on almost double their wage, and he hasn't even kicked the ball for us? Bro, did they not learn from Alexis Sanchez? Like, did they not learn? And I'm not saying Sancho is going to do that because he's a young lad. I would expect him to come with hunger, desire, that kind of thing, ambition, because obviously, he's still not really made his name, so to speak. But for me personally, man, this can't run, man. What are we going to do now when we sign another player? We're going to have to give that. It's gonna ruin the already non-existent wage structure that we have with the rest of the players. Pogba's agent is going to be looking at that now. He's just trying to get a contract, and if this is factual, Sancho Riola is going to come in. You're giving Sancho 350 grand. Are you taking the piss out of Pogba? He's actually been at the club for God knows how many years. He's going to want 500 now. Like, it's just going to cause too many issues. But that's me personally. That's the first comment. Let's move on to the second one. Obviously, keep your comments in. I can't see them. I feel like everyone's just talking in the chat amongst themselves as always. The second comment comes from Fabrizio Romano. We all know who Fabrizio Romano is. If you don't, then you don't follow transfers. This was 2 hours ago. Manchester United know since April that Borussia Dortmund want 95 million euros for Jadon Sancho. Negotiations ongoing after personal terms agreed until 2020. 2026, as we've just stated. Now it's about payment terms, how to do the deal, add-on structure, and the 95 million to be guaranteed to Borussia Dortmund. Work in progress. Basically, it's kind of just obviously, accepting the fact that the terms are agreed. However, I just want to point out the fact that we've known the price for how long now? So it's April, May, almost 3 months. Well, touching 3 months, 2.5 months, whatever it may be. 2 months. We've known what they want for 2 months, and we've gone in and lowballed them for 59 million, Kojo. Like, it's been a year of negotiations, right? It's been a year. Like, what is wrong with this club? Like, bro, just give up. Like, at least bid close to what they want.
What is? I feel like, obviously, I know in football it's a bit of a chess game at the end of the day. When it comes to transfers, you want to try and get the best deal for the club. You don't want to just jump into it straight away. So you bid maybe a kind of lowish basic fee, but you add the installments, you add the bonuses, the conditions, all of that. I get that. The difference in those kind of deals and this deal is you've been trying to get that boy since last summer. It fell through, and you are back here again in the same spot. Now, I know in pounds it's pretty much the same amount, if not like $1 million or two more than what you paid for Harry Maguire. But you've obviously shown in the past that when you wanted to pay 80 million for a player, you've not been afraid to drop the money. At some point, you've dropped the money and you've bought him. If you're intent, and I understand you also want to improve, we all want to improve other areas of the squad. So that's where sales will probably have to come into place. But if you are dead intent on signing the player, you got to at least get closer to what they're looking for.
Yeah, there is actually another report saying that we have put another bid, which is a lot closer. So I will comment that. But I'm just going to put this comment, Big Ron's comment on the screen. Usman, if you were selling your Nissan Datsun, I was going to buy it, I would lowball you. I know that. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't lowball, but what I'm saying is it's been a year. Like, you've learned from last year that these guys are stubborn and they want their money. They're not going to take anything less. Like, so I just don't understand why we're wasting our time. Just get the deal done. I'm not saying give them the whole money, but at least get close to it, because you know they're not going to accept 59 million euros when they're asking for 95. Do you know what I mean? It's not even close. It's 40 million off. Now, do you know what I mean? It's not. Now, there's low, but that's not me going into your house, Coach, right? Let's say your house is on the market for 250 grand. I'll come in and say, you know what? 150 grand, take it or leave it. 100 grand less. You're going to be like, what are you smoking, brother? And it's like, there's low balling and then there's just taking a pure piss. Like, for me, I'd say, dip, go get another fucking player. Like, we're taking the piss at the end of the day. Like, and that would piss me off. Like, that would actually piss me off. I don't know what you think. We've got a comment here saying who you supporting in the Euros. Roger, who are you supporting?
I haven't got anyone I'm supporting, you know. I'm actually quite neutral in this one, to be honest.
Who's normally your international team? I can't even speak today. I don't know if you guys
normally my international team, if we're talking about like in terms of overall, there would be sort of like a Brazil, but for the Euros, I'm always with France or England. But
okay, fair enough. Right, just to answer your question, Jacob, I'm supporting England. That sun is fully in my eyes, but it is what it is. I'm supporting England as I always do, but like I was saying at the start, I just don't have the same passion and love for England. So, like, if they were to lose, like, it wouldn't hurt me the way when Man United lose. Like, when we lose, it's a different story. So I'm not going to BS the passion or fake the passion. But it is what it is. I quite like Portugal, though, I must say. Like, I think Germany got a good chance, but I really like Portugal, man. I don't know what it is about them, but maybe it's because they got Bruno and Ronaldo. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. I look at that Portugal team every day, and I'm like, you know what? That team is serious. You know, we used to talk about having a defense. Ruben Diaz, Pepe, Cancelo, and Nuno Mendes. It's a problem. It's a problem. They're good. They're very good. And if I'm not gonna lie to you, for anyone that knows me, they know I'm a bit of a. I don't like the word stan, but I'm definitely a Ronaldo stan. If he was another Euros here, I'm coming for everyone's next.
Someone's put North Macedonia down, and England come on one of us. Look, obviously I'm going to support England. I'm born and raised in England, and so got to support the home nation. But I have got a bit of a soft spot for Portugal's team just because of the players. They got nothing due to history or nothing. But it is what it is. Anyways, the last comment is from Simon Stone. Again, I'm just reading the journalist word for word. By all means, make your own judgment if you think they're credible or not, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you. You guys will probably judge on your own accord. Sam Stone at 3 hours ago, so about the same time as Fabrizio, so slightly contrasting report, so to speak. 78 million bid from Manchester United for Jadon Sancho, turned down by Borussia Dortmund. They want 90 million plus 5 million, I'm assuming that's in add-ons, and a shorter repayment period than 5 years suggested. That is not a massive gap, but it needs closing. Pre-existing gentleman's agreement in place with the player if fee met by the right time scale. So, the most important sentence for me is the pre-existing gentleman's agreement, which means that the clubs are almost accepting that this deal is going to happen to an extent, if this is factual information. So, first and foremost, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel more confident that the deal is going to happen? Firstly.
No, I do think the deal is going to happen. I'm not trying to get gassed by it though, because we've been here before, but I do think it's going to happen just because if there's one thing I can say about it, and it was said to me today by my boy Darren, is this is the first time in ages that the transfer windows are opening immediately. We're really there doing action. So that's a good move. That's a good start. To be there early, getting it done whilst at the Euros is perfect. So look, just get the deal done. At some point, all roads lead to give them Dortmund exactly what they want. That's what's going to come to at the end of the day.
Exactly my point. It's 12 million. According to Simon Stone, that is, anyway. The difference is currently 12 million. Now, for me personally, what's the point of haggling that? That's euros as well. So it's like, 6 million, give or take. I don't know what that converts to. Might be a bit more. I do
have an issue with that 5-year plan. Like, you can pay the rest of the money off within 3 years, unless you're not sure about the money that you're going to earn within these years. I mean, United are going to earn their cash cows. So it's doable. I know financially you have to watch it carefully, but I think you can get done in at least 3 years.
Well, I think they're asking for 4 in it, realistically. 4 or 3. I would imagine it's 4 or 3 in it. 5 does seem like a crazy amount of time. Like, I believe Arsenal still playing for Pepe. Now, do you know what I mean? It's just too much, isn't it? And I can see why Dortmund wouldn't want that to happen. They need their money, don't they? So 3 years is about right. Like, I see we can pay it in 3 years quite comfortably. Like, I like to think so. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, for me personally, just get the deal done, man. I want it done ASAP so we can move on to which is going to be our last topic. But let me go before we go into that. McGinn, just quickly. What are your thoughts on? Is it John McGinn?
It is John McGinn, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was. What are your thoughts on John McGinn and the transfer rumors surrounding said individual?
Firstly, I will say this: he's a good player. So, any Villa fans, anyone else that thinks I was going to trash him, no, he actually is a good player. But again, he's not a signing that makes logical sense for United, and I'm coming in from a different angle because I know the idea would be like your United fans want a better caliber of player. I think he actually would fit United well, except he's not needed at United right now. His role pretty much is filled. So I would say just leave it out for now because I don't see the point of having John McGinn, but then also having Donny van de Beek, and then also having Paul Pogba, and also having Bruno Fernandes. I like depth. But I feel like you've got 3 players there that you can do a job with. McTominay and Fred are not going to go anywhere. I've already said squad players for them, or sell one or the other. I don't really care which one. And then bring in another player like a defensive midfielder, and then maybe like Matic, for example, because I feel like his time at United is done. So McGinn will only come in for me personally if we sell one of Fred and McTominay. I'm not saying that just because of a replacement. If he comes with one of them, he's better than them. I'm going to say that for now. He's better than them. But
he's definitely better. He's definitely better.
Yeah, but if you bring him in, that means one of them, for me, has no place in any team for United. So it's either you get him to replace one of them, or you just forget about it altogether.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Look, obviously, like I saw a lot of people on our chat just slagging him off. Which is understandable, but I don't think it's all about the big name players. I think we need to start to realize that it's not about the big name players. It's about finding the players that fit the profile of what you're trying to do at the club. Right. And for me personally, that's something that we haven't done enough in the recent years. Under Ali, we have done it more so, which to a degree has been somewhat successful. So I think we need to continue in that model, so to speak. Regarding McGinn, squad player at best, I agree with exactly what you said. He would have to come in to replace. Because, look, for me personally, I'm expecting Van der Beek to start playing, man. What is going on? Like, I want Van der Beek to be... I know he's just got injured as well. Bloody man can't catch a break. But, yeah, I want Van der Beek to be that guy. We don't need McGinn. Because we would have got Van der Beek in my eyes. And Van der Beek needs to be that guy. Fred and McTominay needs to be... One of them needs to be further down the pecking order. It shouldn't be vice versa. But I can't see standing either Fred or McTominay. So I just think it's a pointless thing. Whether it's factual, for me personally, there's probably not much truth in it. I can't see why we'd be going for him. I think it's quite clear. My personal opinion is we need to get players that come into the first team, not people that are for the squad. We've done the squad thing. We need people to come into the first team and make an impact, now, as did Bruno Fernandes, if we wanted to compete. Because otherwise, we're going to be well behind Chelsea in that. If we keep doing these Dan James signings with squad, get a first team player, like not to Sancho's caliber all the time, but someone who's going to come in and have an impact straight away. But anyways, let's move on to the last sort of topic. It's going to be pretty brief. What are your thoughts on the fact that we have not been linked to a CDM at all? Does that worry you, Statty?
Yeah, because it means that one, we're still going to stick with the 4-2-3-1. It means that two, we still have a lot of faith in McTominay and Fred playing those roles, even though I've said as much as I criticize them, at the end of the day, they are not defensive midfielders. Neither of them are defensive midfielders. The only defensive midfielder we have in the club is Nemanja Matic, like a natural defensive midfielder. So that's also a problem. So I am quite worried about that. I think that's an important position because when you sign someone that can play basically like when I say defensive midfielder, not even just like playing the position, but more like even if he's in a pivot, a two-man midfield, at least he can have the defensive authority so that whoever's next to him has license to do whatever the other role is given to them in that midfield. That to me is more important because we haven't had good, proper defensive protection for a while now. We talk about right wing, yes. We talk about strikers. We talk about right backs, and then we signed Wan-Bissaka. We still want another right back to either cover him or wherever.
Yeah.
But we still haven't also addressed defensive midfield either. That's another position. We're moving kind of like Arsenal in that position. That's why I keep referring to Arsenal in other podcasts because it's like Arsenal have been calling for a defensive midfielder for a while, and they keep signing midfielders, and none of them are defensive midfielders. Partey is not a defensive midfielder just because he's played the role before under Simeone, who is a defensive coach per se. Doesn't mean he's a defensive midfielder. So we need to find.
It's just lazy, isn't it? That when people think that because he's done well in the defensive system, it's a completely different ballgame when he's got so much protection from other players, and the spaces in between the players are way smaller. So it's easy to defend because you're defending a smaller zone. So it's just common sense if people actually watch football instead of rather just using jargon.
There's one player that I feel I would love. I know there's no chance of getting him because he's doing so well at Inter Milan and all that, but Nicolo Barella.
I knew you were going to say Barella. I knew it. You always got about.
He's one hell of a midfielder, man. I was watching him this year. I was like, nah, you're sick. Like, you're dangerous. Like, he excites me more than what's that guy that plays for Lazio? Milinkovic-Savic.
Oh, Savic, yeah.
Excites me a lot more. Because when I watched Savic, I saw sort of like the tall build, strong, box to box, all that. But Barella's just so much more smarter on the ball and off the ball. That's what I sound like Mourinho when I say this stuff, but off the ball means so much to me. I'm not asking for you to be like a runner and be Park/Tevez/ Kante. I don't need that energy. Just be smart about it. Be in the right place. And
Carrick wasn't someone. This is why people didn't rate Carrick. It's because he didn't look like he was someone that was covering a lot of ground. Statistically, you see that he was covering ground, but he was always in the right position at the right time. Similar to Busquets in a sense. Busquets isn't someone that runs about a lot in a sense that he's constantly, because he's always in the right position. His IQ is so high. He predetermines or reads a game before a play happens. I don't know why I'm saying play like an American term, but before something happens. And that's what it's about. It's not about who runs the most. It's about having that IQ, and I think that's so important. Again, it's something that we don't see enough in football. Is the level of defending at the moment is absolutely shambolic.
It's shocking. It's shocking. What I will say though is one player that
Carrick putting out fires before the start. That's
exactly. What I will say though is if there's one player, because I know I'm hearing he's available and all that for 35 million. if there's one player that I want United to stay far away from, it's Ruben Neves. I'm sorry. I don't care
Yeah,
how good he is on the ball with the long passes and the free kicks and the long shots. There's a lot of his game that is poor.
he's not especially CDM as well, though. He's another one that people put in that category. He's a perfect Xhaka replacement if Arsenal want to. I think Xhaka's going to Roma, and Ruben Neves fits that what Xhaka, so to speak, role is. Like alongside the DM or in a double pivot. He's basically where Pogba plays in it, in the double pivot. He's not a DM. We need a specialist DM. Akil's saying, you know how much I love Ndidi. We should go for Ndidi. Apparently Leicester are ready to move him on and replace him with Basuma, and they have already signed Sumer. I've not heard anything about this. I don't know if you have, but I've not heard any about it. But I think they're gonna pull our pants down, mate. I haven't heard anything about Ndidi. Look, I would love to get Ndidi, but they would pull our pants down. They've already ripped us 80 million for Maguire. There's no way Ndidi's going for anything less than 60. And for me personally, that's a ridiculous amount. I suppose Declan Rice would have been not closest to Michael Carrick, but in terms of the similar style, without the putting out fires before the happen, so to speak. But of course he's still very young. We don't know how he's going to develop, etc. But who is there anyone you suggest? Shout out to Red Devil Studios well in the building. Yes, bro. Hopefully you're doing well. Is there anyone you would suggest? But like, we're not linked to anyone. Akil's putting a lot of names here.
Kessie from AC Milan would also be good as well, but.
Is he especially CDM though?
No, for me he's not. For me
he's not. Yeah, I don't think he's. From what I saw, I'm not going to sit here and say I watch him week in week out, but what I've seen of him, and of course in particular the 90 minutes against us, he seems more of a box to box. Like he flourished more in a box to box.
Precisely. But he is smart defensively. If we're going to give him credit for one thing, I mean, we are talking about defensive midfielders, but if we want to go another angle, if Ole's going to stick with the 4-2-3-1. If he has someone that can play box to box but knows when to be, where to be, and when to do the role, sort of running from one box to the other, Kessie does fit that role well. He is very, very good defensively for AC Milan. Also, he does a very good job playing that role. So maybe that could actually be a good sign. I'm not gonna shut it down. I think that'll be a good sign actually.
Well, if it's going to be a good signing, it means we're not going to do it because we don't think logically. Simple as that. But listen, we'll come back. Obviously, we'll come back with some more information when we have got it regarding Jadon Sancho in particular. That one does seem like it's picking up pace, which for me personally, I'm just kind of done with the transfer sort of situation with Sancho. I just want it to be done now and dusted because for me personally, although I want him, CDM is a necessity for me. Like, if we don't sign a CDM this season or this transfer window, we are screwed. Because we're going to have to deal with Fred for another season. And it's just going to be worse. Like, it's going to be worse. And to be fair to Ollie, if that is the case, you've got to look at the board. But I will be screaming Ollie out. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I will be screaming Ollie out. Even though it's probably not his fault. But anyways, that's the end of the show. We're going to leave it there. As always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel for more content. We will be back in the coming days, as I mentioned, probably with a couple of watch-alongs for the Euros. If you haven't already, put your predictions down for who you think is going to win. If not, in the comment section. But obviously, when you watch it on repeat, put your comments down. I want to go through them, all 2 of the comments. But put them down either way. Obviously, I'll read them and reply and all that good stuff. It's been your boss, man, joined by Kojo. And we are out. Peace, people. Enjoy the rest.